We heard this week from Chad's mom talking about the first time that they met Lori. Let's watch.
Of 2019. Did you and Jack travel to Idaho?
We did.
Did you meet with Chad at a Texas Roadhouse
Yes.
in Idaho Falls?
Yes.
Was it dinner time, lunchtime?
Dinner time.
Okay. Now you, Jack, met Chad at the Texas Roadhouse. Was somebody else there?
Yes.
Who was that?
Lori Vallow.
Had you ever met Lori Vallow before?
No.
During that dinner, did Chad tell you and Jack anything about his relationship with Lori Vallow?
I don't think he did as much as Lori did.
Okay. What did Lori tell you?
Well, we noticed that these rings on, and my husband said, "Are you engaged?" And they said, "No, we're married."
Were you surprised?
Yeah.
Did they tell you when they had gotten married?
No.
Now, on November 13th of 2019, this was approximately a month after Tammy's death. Is that why you were surprised?
Yeah, I was.
And that's just the beginning of the conversation. We'll start with that. Keep in mind, Tammy just died. So they were just there for the funeral and the memorial. And then all of a sudden they're back up to have a bloomin' onion and some rolls at the Texas Roadhouse. And guess what? Look at my new wife. And look how tan I am. Look how good I look. That had been a weird conversation.
Oh, man. Like, if she's testifying for the state, that tells you all you need to know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that. It's got to be tough for a parent to get up there and be like, it's just a bad look, and Pryor did the best he could to try to mitigate that, like talking about how quickly he married Tammy, and that's just kind of part of their religion.
Yeah, part of how it works. Yeah.
And
God told me to. That's what it all goes back to.
plan.
Everything is God told me to.
God's plan.
God's plan.
Who am I to tell God I'm going to wait? No, I had to do what God said. So yeah.
Yep.
Devastating stuff, man.
Other interesting testimony here from mom, talking and learning about Lori's dead husband. Some lies there, and then kind of a revelation that no one else had been saying at this point in time about Lori's daughter, Tylee. Let's take a look.
Okay. Did Chad or Lori tell you anything about whether or not Lori had been married before?
Chad didn't.
Did Lori?
Yes.
What did Lori tell you?
Oh, that she'd been married before?
Yes.
Well, she just said that her husband had recently died.
Did she say how he had died?
Heart attack.
When Lori said that her husband had died of a heart attack, what did Chad say, if anything?
I don't remember any specific mention.
Okay. And did Lori or Chad say anything about whether or not Lori had children?
She said she had a daughter that had died.
Do you remember how old that daughter was?
She didn't say a date.
Did she say anything about whether or not she had a young son?
No.
When Lori said that her daughter died, did Chad say anything that you recall?
No, I don't think.
At the end of that dinner, did you believe that Lori had a daughter who had died?
Yes.
I can picture Chad sitting there just stuffing his face with rolls and butter and like, she's like, just kind of being the doofus that he is.
Yeah. Well, I think the reality at this point is we know that Chad knew.
Yes.
Chad knew. That's the revelation. That's why that's the bombshell. Like this is the first time that the state put on some evidence that Chad knew.
Yeah.
It's like Pryor could do nothing with that, and it was incredibly damning in terms of his knowledge. This whole concept that, he didn't know, oh, the kids are safe with my parents, it's like that's just no one's buying that on this jury. And to me, they've got the conspiracy nailed. The question for me is going to be, have they shown enough, or do they need more for Tammy's murder?
Yeah.
I think by way of just the accumulation of all of it and the totality of the circumstances, that they're probably going to get guilty on all counts. Because just like the everything goes hand in hand. You know, it's like you have to have that be a part of the puzzle
Yeah.
in order for all of it to fit, you know. So Tammy's got to go.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, and we had on the stand this week the gentleman who did the second autopsy, and he was pretty convincing, I think, on, yeah, this was definitely a homicide. Let's take a look.
What did you determine the cause of death to be?
We ruled her cause of death to be asphyxia.
What did you determine her manner of death to be?
We determined her manner of death to be homicide. Asphyxia means that the person was unable to get enough oxygen. Smothering of any type, anything that blocks the mouth and nose could lead to asphyxia. Choking, anything that blocks the airway internally, whether it's food or something stuffed in someone's mouth or whatever, maybe all of those things can lead to asphyxia.
And when you use the term homicide, can you talk about what that means in relation to your office?
It's a determination of the circumstances surrounding the death, and it means to us that another person was involved in that person's death. It does not imply intent, although it is not excluded either.
Chad Daybell did not follow the simple rule of if you murder someone, you might want to cremate that body.
It's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it was equally damning, the kind of the testimony that came out about how adamant he was about you know, how quickly he was going to have the funeral, and you know, whether or not they wanted to have an autopsy done, and he was adamant that he didn't.
Mhm.
Got, you know, neighbors and friends that are like, look, like, what happens if it was something that was genetic, you know, and maybe the
Yeah.
kids need to know about it, like that, and then you compile that with that testimony from that medical examiner. It's not looking good for old Potato Head.
God told him to do it. God said, you know, gotta bury her quickly, and you know, it's like he should have said.
God's plan, Tony. It's
Yeah,
God's plan.
It's God's plan. It is God's plan. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.